Well, hello, Bob Dandry here, and welcome back to Transport Fever 2, the long game. So we're starting off here over at Roseville, because this is one of the cities we want to try and help in this episode. You'd remember last episode we set up a new chain to produce building materials, because we did have a few towns around this area, for example Roseville, also Richmond as well, that are requiring building materials but aren't really getting them from, all the way over here at Laredo where they're being produced. So we made a decision to pop on another chain to produce those outputs over here. And today we're also going to be looking at some goods. Goods are a real struggle for us. If we pop over to here to LA and see our goods factory, we do have a fairly constant struggle to get enough plastics to produce the goods we need here. So it's really no surprise that goods are not really getting particularly far into the network, and they're certainly not going to get all the way over to Roseville and Lafayette, the towns over on the opposite side of the map that need them. So we were very lucky to see that a new chemical plant actually popped up over here, pretty much right on our main line already.
And I definitely didn't lay it down myself, so don't accuse me of that.
So what we're going to be looking to do is get some grain from over here at Lafayette Farm, or potentially even over here at Roseville Farm. So what we'll be planning to do in this sort of section of the world is we will get some grain flowing from Roseville Farm down the road, this very short distance to Lafayette Chemical Plant. And from there, we've got chemicals that we can once again shift by road to our goods factory over here as well. So this is going to be a fairly easy, short line for the most part. Our big question is going to be where we're going to get our other source of feeder goods in. So we've got a choice of planks, paper, or silver. Looking around here, I think silver is probably going to be what we're going to go with. So we've got a silver ore mine over here. We've got a silver mill here, and that should be fairly easy. I think we can probably shift those goods via rail. They're probably that sweet spot where rail starts to become a bit more usable and we don't need to consider trucks. So let's do that. So we'll focus on getting our chemical chain set up, and then we'll look at silver from there. So once again, this is a fairly easy connection we can make here. We just need to set up a couple of truck stations, like so. In fact, we can probably even switch it around like so we can, just to make it that slight bit shorter. Apparently we've got too much slope, interestingly enough. Right there. Okay, cool. There's a little bit of slope there, but it's not terrible. I don't know why we would say that's too much slope. We'll set up a new line. And we'll get, I would say, probably 20 trucks purchased to run on the line. And there we go, we're in progress. Our goods factory over here is a nice, easy connection as well. We just need to slap a little bit of road down. And then, yeah, pretty direct connection there. And we can get a truck station set up there. I'm thinking we might actually double the number of vehicles on our grain line. Love it. So we'll have a steady stream of vehicles on their way out now. And yeah, that section of the network really looks after itself. We don't need to do too much. There's not too much conflict with other movements, anything like that. So yeah, really easy, that one. It's where silver comes into the equation that it starts to get, I wouldn't say complicated, but we need to put a little bit more thought into it. So we've got our silver mill over here. That's easy. We can just put a nice freight station attachment there. And we have our silver mine over here. In fact, this is definitely not complicated at all. I don't know why I said that it was. Potentially, we just need to be careful with our connection through here. But other than that, I think this is a fairly slam dunk sort of a connection we're making. Maybe put a passing loop in there, but I think we're okay right now. It's actually a really easy one. And for our train that's going to be running on this, we will be going with an Atlantic. And I assume gondolas is going to be what we'll be putting in here. Yes, silver ore, perfect. And lovely. All right, nice, easy one. So this has all been super simple so far. Our question is now going to be, how do we get the silver from over here to our goods factory? There's really two options we could go with, or three actually. So we could run a train all the way over there. That's an option. We could run it by road vehicle and sort of cut through here and see if we can sneak in between the fields here. Or we could run it over to Lafayette West and run a road vehicle from there. I don't know if that's going to be our best option though. I'll tell you what, we're going to try the road vehicle option first. And if we do need to boost it up with something else, then we can cross that bridge when we get to it. Might need to pull out a field though. Very expensive, but yeah. We're just going to have to deal with that, aren't we? Once again, we'll go with 20 vehicles. I did not name that line, did I? No, I didn't. So we'll quickly fix that up as well. Change that to silver ore as well. All right, so I'm hoping we'll start to see, yeah, beautiful. So we've got some silver ore popping up over here. We've got grain popping up here. And then obviously once we have grain over to our chemical plant, we should start to see some chemicals pop up at our sidings here to go over. So really the only thing left to do here is to get the goods from our goods factory into the rest of our network. How are we going to do that? That may be a little bit more interesting in terms of how we make that work. All right, so the way we're going to try this, I don't know if it'll work or not, is that we will, obviously we're going to have cars bringing back goods from... So obviously we're going to have trucks transferring chemicals over to the goods factory in their beginning. So obviously we're going to have trucks transferring chemicals from our chemical plant over the goods factory. Over to the goods factory. And they'll be coming back. So we've got an opportunity there that we could feed the goods back by going through that route. And then we've got a connection to Lafayette West here as well. So we might need to get some box cars on. We'll run them directly to Lafayette branch to connect up to our goods network. And we'll see if that works. I don't know if that makes the most sense, but it's the option that's going to be fairly easy for us to implement right now. And we can potentially look to change that if it's not working out down the line. I don't even need to put a new line on here. We can use our existing line that takes our oil to the fuel refinery and just add a box car train onto that one. So that's actually a really nice, easy one we can do now. What I might actually do here is pull one of our 10-wheelers off our cross-river freight trip train, move that to running this sort of shuttle, and we'll actually switch that over to run on an Atlantic, I think, potentially. So what I will do there, we'll modify this one. Switch across all these box cars. In fact, no, we're not going to be switching across the box cars, because we'll actually refresh this with some new vehicles. We will get a couple of our newer, not tank cars, box cars on here. Take that back up to 240. And from there, we'll go back to our Atlantic. In fact, what I'll do the modification. We'll quickly pause. We'll change this one to run on our Lafayette oil train. We'll fix up whatever no path issue we're having there. And we will then make the modifications to our Atlantic. All right, that modification is made. Now, no path. So how do we fix this one up? I feel like it should have a path from there. It's going to be a sort of a longer route, but it should be able to get through and connect up. No, because we don't have a triangle here. So we will put a triangle in here, which will fix that issue. That should fix that. Perfect. So it'll be on its way and we'll join up there and start hopefully moving those goods very shortly. Alright, so that all seems to be kicking along quite well. And while we're sort of starting to build up that production line, what I do want to do is look at this line that we built to New York City last week. So we did build it intending for it to be the first part of a passenger line, and we will continue working on that in this episode. So probably what we're going to do is extend it over to Spokane and have it join up, not at Fullerton, but a little bit further along. So you know, potentially we'll have a line here that will go from Laredo, Spokane, New York City, Lafayette, and Roseville. So it'll be, once again, another of these sort of alternate routes we're establishing for the cities that we're servicing. And I think it's a pretty good one, this one, if I might say so myself. So we'll get a station in probably along here. We'll connect a new road up there as a straight. Not whatever we were building there. And yes, we will get a lovely passenger station set up. So we will need to bend this line around a little bit. It's not going to be exactly a straightforward connection, but I think it's still a fairly easy one. This looks like it's reasonably flat as well, so our grades shouldn't prevent us from you know, being able to have fast running trains through here either. So this is probably going to be a candidate for another one of those express trains that we put on our inner line. Interestingly, we can actually bridge there if we want to. I don't think we want a bridge though. I'll pull that back a little bit. And see how we can go connecting up here. Let's see. We might have a bit of slope that we need to deal with. Yeah, surprisingly it's not the slope, it's actually that road there. I'm going to build anyway because I'm going to fix it. I just want to get the road or the railway tracks laid down first, and then we'll work out what we're doing from there. But probably what we'll actually do is we'll take this road around our tunnel rather than having it where it is. This is going to upset our city. Yes, it is. But that is okay. And yeah, I think that looks fine, and hopefully our town isn't too unhappy with us for doing that. But yeah, I think pretty decent. So from here, we'll pretty much punch this straight through and connect up sort of around here also. Looks like it's probably going to be a good shout. I do want to see if we can just skirt around that hill rather than tunneling through it, which looks like we've been able to do. And yeah, as I said, this train will not actually service Fullerton. It will bypass it. Otherwise, it would have been a bit of a weird connection. We'd have to sort of pull right along the coast and then loop back around. Doesn't really make much sense. It is probably a needless deviation. And if you want to travel from, you know, Spokane through to Fullerton, you can just change it to Laredo if you really want to do that. Looks like we're not wanting to make that connection though. It worked out in the end. So I'm going to quickly signal this up and then we should be right to get some trains running on it. It really is quite a significant line. So hopefully we'll get some quite nice high speed running as well, because everything's pretty flat and there's not going to be a heap of, like freight trains needing to drop off and around and stuff like that. So I'm really hopeful for this one. All right, that's all done. So that was a nice, easy connection we could make there. And now it's time to get some train selector to run on it. So for this line, I think we'll actually have it started at Peoria just for, you know, shits and gigs. And we've got a spare track here that we can use to terminate the train as well. So it'll run from Peoria. We'll stop at Laredo, Spokane, New York City, Lafayette, Roseville, and return. And it looks like everything is all set up. All our... nope, that one's not set up properly. Hopefully everything else is though. Yeah, perfect. Cool. All right. So now that we've got that, what are we going to call this one? We'll call this Peoria to Roseville via New York. And yeah, we can get some cars running on it now. So I think we will run with a similar setup to our existing inner line that we set up before. We'll run the Empire State Express and with some Pennsylvania Railroad heavyweight cars. Get 2 of those running. And put them on our new line. While I've been at Peoria, I've noticed that our 2 grain trains, we've actually got plenty of grain now. So it looks like we've actually got the right amount of vehicles running on this. In fact, we'll probably need to increase the number of grain trains we're running on both these lines. So looking at the Peoria to LA grain train, we've got 3 trains running on there already. And if we're looking at them, I was going to say they're all making a profit, but they're not. That is like real nose to tail stuff. Where is that? Look at that. Wow. They're almost coupled. That's how close they are. But yeah, we're definitely going to need another train there. So this will be an Atlantic as well. I know I'm very much into my Atlantics at the moment. But that should allow us to pump through this grain pretty easily. And we'll get another one purchased and we'll run that on the Peoria to Albu grain train. Perfect. Oh, we're starting to get a few, in fact, let's be honest, a pretty decent amount of goods, considering we are not really stable in terms of our silver production right now. So 43, crates of goods, pretty decent. Next, let's get New York and Spokane Next, let's give New York and Spokane the public transit network treatment that we give all of our towns. So we will make a connection here. Just make a few that potentially may be missing a little bit. All right, so New York. All right, so both of these towns are fairly simple. They're quite small at the moment. Surprisingly, New York is a tiny little town. We're not going to hook these up with goods or freight just yet. I think what they're requesting we don't have really good supply of right now. So potentially in some of our next steps when we start to look at those tool and machines, we potentially would hook them up. But for this episode, we're not going to. It's going to be a really simple connection. Obviously, as I said, tiny town. So we don't really have massive... we don't have massive parts of the town that we need to cover off. So this will be a very, very simple one. Spokane is much the same. There's probably more of an argument to have multiple lines, definitely, than there is in New York, but we can still very, very easily cover this with pretty much no effort whatsoever. Easy. I think we definitely need to boost the amount of silver trucks we have running here. If I can find one. I mean, that tells you how much we need to boost it. I can't find a truck that is carrying silver. I'm going to try doubling it. Why not? Double it and hand it on to the next person, as they say. Because obviously, while there is a one-to-one relationship between plastic and silver, because silver's going pretty much like twice the distance, that I guess probably tells us that we need to have twice the number of vehicles to be able to provide the same amount. Does that maths work? I don't know. It seems to work to me. Alrighty, and we've got our Peoria to Roseville via New York service arriving now at Laredo. So let's jump aboard. This should be a nice high-speed trip, and I hope you enjoy. And here we are arriving at Spokane, where we'll be leaving the service. So I hope this was an enjoyable ride for you. Well, what a bustling little corridor this is. We might even consider switching these roads to some high-speed roads potentially, so we can benefit from, the amount of trucks we've got going through here. But yeah, that's going to be about it for this episode. So I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you get a ding to your device the next time I post a video. You can find links to all my social media in the description, so please jump on there, like, follow, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. A big shout out to my Founders Club patron, Caleb. Caleb, thank you so much for helping to make this happen. But until next time, I'm Bob Dendry. This is Transport Fever 2, The Long Game. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.